computer. Welcome to the Out of Home Insider Show. We're bringing you tips, tricks, and insider insights all about how to make your advertising more efficient, more effective. And my guest today is probably the most important guest that I've had on so far because it ties all of this stuff together. She's laughing. She's too humble. But the importance of creative and getting your message right, you got one shot. If you're making the investment in any sort of advertising, this is an episode you want to pay attention to. We're going to talk all things creative with somebody that touches thousands of pieces of creative every single month across all different industries, across all different platforms, mediums. If there's somebody that knows it better, please bring them to the front of the line. I don't think that there is. Welcome to the show, Christie from Paragon Printing. Christie, thanks so much for being here.
Woohoo! I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
For sure, for sure. It's a lot of fun connecting with people sort of in this online, offline format. We've connected via LinkedIn, and it's been really great getting to know you on there. But somebody listening right now may not know who the heck you are. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into the out-of-home space? You have a very non-linear track to out-of-home, which I think a lot of the brightest minds in the business do right now. Why don't you tell us about yours?
Yeah, thank you. So actually, I came to this field kind of by accident, but I've always been very, very much in love with advertising, creative things. I spent 10 years in education, and I worked for the government part of that time doing statistical analysis on data sets. So I think that I carry that skill with me in analyzing and just being such a voracious reader and being able to kind of spot trends and to look at data from a different perspective. And I hope that I bring that to the table. I went to college initially to be an archaeologist because, let's just be honest, I watched a few of the Indiana Jones movies, and that literally is I couldn't think of anything that I wanted to do more. I'm in love with history, and I think that adds another layer as well to what I can bring to the table. Maybe it's a little nerdy, but I don't think so. I think it's really, really fun. It's passionate. It's about exploration, and it's about kind of looking at things, how things have happened in the past, and seeing it kind of in a larger context. So long story short, I left teaching and went into sales, and I was the sales rep or one of the sales reps for the company that I'm with now. And I just fell in love with the people. I didn't know a thing about printing. I really did think that there was one type of printer, okay? A printer that does business cards. And that was pretty much the extent of what I understood. And because they were so much fun, they were so down to earth, they really just drew me by their personality. I decided to after 3 years of industrial sales, I decided to apply. They took a chance from, with me having no industry experience, and it's just been such an amazing ride since.
That's a heck of a ride. I think there's this pretty cool consistent theme throughout all of it that you really do have this sort of forensic approach from data analysis to wanting to understand how things work together, from the archaeology interest and history and knowing sort of where we came from to get where we ultimately are, and the teaching thing puts it all together. It really makes sense when you plot it all out how you could be where you are right now, and how all of those things tie together to really help you out. Talking for a moment about the on the history side, right? So here we are, it's 2020. We've seen the introduction of so many different modern mediums, if you will, with the advent of the internet and all the different ways that we can interact with the internet, from cell phones to laptops to televisions and connected TVs. I'm not sure if that's vibrating super loud, but I don't see it. I broke my phone the other day, Christy, and now I gotta adapt to a new one. But staying on the track of here's what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna toss this onto a place where it's not. Sorry, taking everybody off track there for a second. Just didn't want any distractions as we sit and talk. But to talk about history for a moment, knowing where you came from to where we are, we're talking about the diverse selection of mediums and how those all play out today. And there's different ways to spend money and easy ways to spend money. What have you seen changed the most? You've been at Paragon for a little bit over 3 years, it sounds like 3-4 years.
No,
Okay,
actually, no, I'm sorry. I did industrial sales. And I've actually only been at Paragon for a year.
oh, got it. Okay, track it. Okay, I
Yeah,
apologize.
I'm so sorry.
No, line that all up. So, I mean, a year is still a long time to look at how much things change. What have you seen change even in the last 12 months from a creative standpoint? What have you seen as the biggest change? You said, wow, that one thing is glaring. Is it style? Is something stylistic? Is it a medium selection? What are you seeing change at the most rapid pace?
That's a really, really good question. I honestly, I see a couple of themes, and one of which is like the 3D and the soft sign 3D.
What is that?
So there's actually a company out of Canada called 3D Soft Signs, or Soft Sign 3D. Eddie is going to kill me because I didn't get it. I just totally botched his name.
Sorry,
But
Eddie.
I mean, they are doing miraculous things with billboards, with static billboards, adding 3D elements without the weight. So it's actually inflated.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh my gosh. Like there's this one, this like an entire shark that if it were, if it were created and sent and shipped and all, I mean, it would be like 6,000 pounds. And I mean, there's no right way to pitch that to a client. Okay, I'm sorry, it's going to be 6,000 pounds, and there would be no way to do it. I guess that's what I'm saying. This absolutely just knocks it out of the park, and it can be. I want to say he said he put this entire billboard up in 6 minutes.
That's incredible. So we can take a static, bulletin size billboard and add 3D elements to it, where traditionally we've thought about extensions being really scalable down to the local level of being affordable and accessible to a local advertiser. From what you just described, I can take that static image and essentially take elements of it and turn them into 3-dimensional shapes and figures that protrude off of, I guess, horizontally, laterally from the sign. Is that about right?
Yes, I'm gonna send you some pictures because it's just mind blowing.
So if that 3D soft signs was the name of it.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I don't know why I'm going blank, but yes, I think it's 3D soft signs.
We'll look it up. We'll make sure that it's in the show notes or down below. So if that's something that you're not exploring, it sounds like something that I'm going to explore as an option to clients, as a way to bring their creative to life. Because when we think about, we're going to talk later about some, maybe some dirty words that are in our business, but we think about static inventory these days. Digital's all the rage, right? Programmatic's hot, dynamic's hot. That's awesome. We can do so many cool things with it. But also we still have static inventory, and it's still really powerful. Posters still have the highest retention rates amongst 25 to 34-year-olds. You're trying to reach a younger audience. Poster campaign sense all day long. Mini saturation campaign where you can own the market for a fraction of the investment. Static is still a great value play. It still works. It didn't ever not work. It still works, folks. And now we can do some pretty cool stuff and make your creative 3-dimensional, really pop off the structure. It's something we're talking about. It's something we're talking about. So you touch a lot of creative and you see a lot of stuff come through. What mediums do you guys work with? It's not just billboards, right? You guys do a lot more than that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think one of the passions that I have is seeing how many ways that we can bring somebody's idea and give it physical presence. I mean, we actually make this stuff into existence, and we're part of that process. something that just started as an idea or a conversation. So we do signage, we do banners, we do, I mean, the wallscapes that are as big as a building.
Wow. What's the
The
cool, if you had to pick
enormity.
one, what's the coolest project you've worked on?
Oh my gosh.
I know
I
it's
can't narrow
impossible
it
to pick
down.
one.
I'm sorry?
I know it's probably impossible to pick one, so give me a few. Talk about some fun projects that you've worked on the last year. Things that like
All
you
right.
tell your
So
friends or family when they're like, "What the hell do you do?" And you're like, "Check it out. This is what I do, and it's awesome."
yes. So I was not a part of this. Okay. This was, but we have a very large client, and they've been around for a really long time. They're very established, and they have fantastic creatives. They just blow me away.
So this is a
One of
brand
which,
that our listeners, our viewers, it's a brand they would probably be familiar with if
yes,
we could talk
yes.
about. Okay.
So they did like Sunset Boulevard and Times Square. At the same time, they did this enormous wallscape of, it was Final Fantasy.
That's
And
gotta be cool.
oh my gosh, like it was just fantastic. We just did some extensions where we used reflective material on, like, so it looked like the kind of the old carnival lights.
Christy, real quick,
Oh yeah,
just in
sure, sure.
case anyone listening doesn't know, and I know that I used it before, but just explain to everybody what an extension is
Oh yeah,
and
thank
how it
you.
makes creative come to life.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so an extension is just a protrusion. It's going to be a layer that's outside of the board. It can be on the top, it can be on the side, it can be on the bottom, but it's basically anything that extends that board.
So it's
And
sort of like
it's
put a bow on a box, if you will, right? The box is the
absolutely.
box. We're gonna put a bow on top of it and add something to look at, add some depth and flavor to.
Yes.
Fair?
So yeah, Reagan Outdoors in Chattanooga, they did this whiskey bottle, okay, for Tennessee whiskey or Chattanooga whiskey. And they had, so it's a normal, regular static board. And then they have this enormous cap, and it's on top of the board, and it looks larger than life. And it looks like a huge whiskey bottle. You can't tell me that you're not going to notice that, and that's going to stick in your brain. They're just really, they're really great about that. So an
That's cool.
extension, and then you have embellishments as well that are often 3D. Three atomic signs in the US is just phenomenal at 3D. Anything that enhances. And then we have kind of this more like embellishments that of materials. So we use this reflective material that when you go by, when you shine your light to it, it looks like lights going off.
Okay,
It's
so and it sounds like what you were starting to describe with the Final Fantasy was an extension with the reflective material.
yes, it was actually, yeah, it was for Venice and Hollywood. So it was like the Hollywood signs, and then it was like little bulbs in the middle with reflective in the middle.
So
And
it
then so
looked like the bulbs.
yes, exactly. And I mean it really is. It's phenomenal to be in our industry.
It's fun, right? Because it's not just advertising. Like we get to have fun. It's entertainment in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like you and I, and we're in this and we touch it every single day. And we've all probably worked in a job or a career or an industry, whatever, or we do it every day. And eventually it just becomes sort of vanilla. But
Yes.
considering what we do, it really is entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
It's something new to look at every day. We get to touch it, feel it, smell it, love it, fall in love with it with the clients. And
Mm-hmm.
Christy, do you work with mostly agencies, buying services? Do you work with a lot of clients direct? Is it a mix of all of those things? What's sort of that look like
Yes.
in your world?
I mean, the simple answer is yes. We pride ourselves in not going direct to a customer If we have an established relationship with the agency, we would never do that. That's just absolutely egregious. But the we work mainly with advertising agencies, marketing agencies who buy on behalf of their clients. But we also have brands that come to us direct.
So by the time it gets to you, is the creative pretty much well ironed out and you're executing, or are you critiquing and giving them some feedback? Hey, this looks great on a computer screen, but it's not going to translate well to a printed surface. How does that back and forth work?
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think that's one of the reasons why printers sometimes are undervalued, or that relationship is undervalued. If your printer is not making suggestions or doesn't catch things and lets you put a board up that has so much copy that you really can't read it, if they don't work with you using their expertise, I think that's they're doing a disservice, or you're doing a disservice kind of not using that, because they are able to work with the materials. So I do feel like our company does. We try to always have our customers back, because at the end of the day, we work for them. We want to make them look good, so that it all looks good,
Yeah. No, I think it's very much in line with, as getting to know you over the last few weeks, is you're somebody that just you keep it real, and it seems like I'm going to tell you that your baby isn't necessarily ugly, but your baby is going to be a superstar. Your baby might be better off going to school for accounting than pursuing their singing or acting career. But you're going to give them that feedback, because it's a significant investment. I'm sure that the work you do is not inexpensive. It costs money to do these things. And by the time it's gotten to you, the advertiser has made a significant investment working with an agency, a media buyer. They're employing planners and creative teams, and all sorts of people have touched this before it gets to you. So to have that last line of defense that is really there to protect the investment is incredibly invaluable. So if you're hearing this and you're at an agency, if you're a planner, a buyer, if you're an advertiser that does outdoor, whatever that is, whether it's a billboard, wallscapes, you guys do like transit? Do you do things like that as well?
Yes, we absolutely do, all day, every day. And I think we make it look good.
Awesome.
I think we do.
Is it just local? Like what's you're I know you're south of me, but do you guys work with everybody all over the country, or is it just mostly regional?
Yes.
So
and
wherever
actually,
you are,
we've kind of been under the radar, but we have agencies all over the country, and we ship all over the world. We ship all over the world. And so I really love kind of when people think that we might just be a print shop down the street. I really do love that, because that ultimately isn't who we are. And then when they get to know us, they go, oh my gosh, but we aren't, we really don't self-promote a whole lot. We tend to do word of mouth and nose to the grindstone, and just focus on quality right now. We are kind of expanding that, but that's been our MO for a while.
Well, huge shout out to Paragon Printing for letting us borrow you for this conversation tonight. I know you got some shout outs, some people helped put some thoughts together. You want to shout those people out?
Yes. So I'd like to thank the Academy, but hold on just one second. Okay. So I am able to meet so many amazing people, and they really do challenge me, and they bring me back when I kind of go off the deep end. And the people that have been really instrumental in helping me formulate some really key ideas that I think are pushing our company and us to be better. Andrea Messimer Henley is just rocking the outdoor world. Exactly. Both Bose from Vincent Printing, guys, I love how you love printing. Mo from Outdoor Nation, Jason Henley from Primal and Spratling, Theo Gifford from KG3 Mobile Advertising, Alan Atkins from Independent, James Heller. We both are
James
All
Heller.
right.
Hang on. I got a prop from the James Heller episode right here. Here it is. At about minute 15, my 6-year-old walked up behind me holding a grenade. So that was a pretty impressive way to be
That's
introduced to the
awesome.
world of out of home. As my son shows up and presents a grenade to James Heller live.
I mean, I'm a little disappointed that he hasn't shown up right now and and offered one to me. I'm a little sad.
We're starting.
But
I'm sorry. Continue.
No, and Keith Lloyd and April Steele from Paragon Printing. Also, my main squeezes from the OOH world right now, Tim and Brent Bear.
So you work with Brent on some other projects? Do you guys ever do some stuff?
Yeah, so I just met Brent, and he knows everyone in the entire world, I think. So you go into an airport and there's somebody there, just random, or some random person, and they probably have a connection to Brent Bear. Like I think
he's Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
6 degrees of Brent Bear. We're gonna play this game.
Tim, I really do think he is. But I love how like on his LinkedIn it says infectious love of all things OOH. And that just got me. I really love that. I love how he's so to the point and he just doesn't BS. And I'm a big fan.
And that's exciting, and it's exciting coming into this space sort of as an outsider, right? Ironic, the out-of-home insider, and really I'm the outsider to this because I was a digital marketing guy a lot like James, is and was. And coming into the space with a little bit different ideas, and it's fun to see how rapidly it's changing. It's fun to see advertisers coming into the space that traditionally only ever looked at TV and radio as the core components of their media plan, and now seeing how fractured and fragmented it is and hard to buy, frankly. Especially in really undervalued markets. Like I'm in Eastern Pennsylvania, and I would be remiss to say that I believe it is the most undervalued market in the entire country. There's a few reasons why, but this is why it's so fun to be out of home, is we're an hour and a half west of New York City. We're an hour north of Philadelphia. We make up 10% of the Philly DMA. We make up a pretty significant portion of the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton DMA. We've got some in New York. We've got a lot of transient New York population that lives in our market but works in the city. Our average commuter spends 300 hours a year just on their daily commute. That's 37 work days. 37 days of work. You want to talk about out of home, a market that out of home can move. We've got higher household incomes. So it's really fun to be in out of home now because we can have a conversation like that and we can have it across the country with each other in real time, discuss what makes Paragon so awesome, discuss what makes our market so special. And really, there's so many cool connections to make across the industry. So whether you're an advertiser, an agency, you're a planner, whoever you are in this ecosystem, the ability and opportunity to connect with people has never been more present. I think it's exchanging ideas like this that really gets the ball moving. And then we can look back in a year from now and go, wow, like that made a difference. It made a difference. It helped advertisers to be more efficient. It helped them deliver more effective campaigns that they can actually measure now with a lot of the measurement tools. Let me ask you a question in terms of creative, because this is something that's been asked to me of advertisers before. Do you guys do things like I'm thinking like a direct response type money raise, right? Political is a really hot topic right now. Do you ever see creative that includes like text to donate campaigns or things like that? Do you see much of that coming across the wire now? Do you think it's an opportunity? Does it make sense in out of home? What's your opinion on that? Like a text to donate or a text to sign up?
Yeah.
Those types of activations.
I mean, I think that absolutely makes so much sense because it's interactive. And what is the 83%? Don't quote me on that exact, but it's I think it's above the 80s. 83% of all people that saw an out-of-home advertising, campaign of any sort actually went and followed up about that. Don't quote me on it.
No, you're close. It's
okay. Okay.
The level of it, depending on the audience and what you're looking at, whether it's posting or bullets, is
Mhm.
whatever it is, the activation for out of home is significantly higher than TV and
Yes.
radio. On
Yes.
a dollar per dollar basis, it's more
Yes.
effective. It drives a ton. So okay. So from the printer's perspective, it could be an
Mhm.
opportunity. So if you're a business that, I mean, what better conversation? If you need more first party leads, you need more people in your database. You need
Mhm.
those names in your database now more than ever, because as privacy laws continue
Mhm.
to get stricter and stricter, and restrictions on third-party data becomes tighter and tighter. Google's doing away with cookies, right? The Google Chrome browser is going to be done with cookies in the next 24 months. What's your plan for that? How are you going to grow the number of people that voluntarily raise their hand and say, yes, I would like to be marketed to by your
Yes.
company? So an activation like text, or driving them back to a dedicated landing page, something that gets them
Mhm.
engaged with the advertising. We know that it creates engagement, but it's up
Mhm.
to you as the advertiser to decide what do you want to do with that. And then it's something to hold your agency accountable for. Don't just place advertising and hope people do something. Hope has never been a strategy. You need to be very clear in your creative of, what do I want to be the outcome of this? But is this a branding
That's awesome.
play? Is it is
Mhm.
it a is it a do you see that? Do you see great creative, it compels you, it moves you, it makes you feel something? Do you see a lot of advertisers, maybe it's not the texting thing, but do you see them
Mhm.
with a clear call to action, or what that thing is
Mhm.
next to do? How does that shake out? Do you think that it's being
Hmm.
utilized enough?
Hmm. Wow. You know what? Really, I think what you just said is very powerful and needs to be. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I could give an educated answer on that. But I think, just like, the preacher in the pulpit, I think that you're completely right. I think that a call to action is going to take it to the next level. And I think if somebody's not utilizing that, I mean, why? Why not? Why
Right.
not?
So really, really top to bottom, you can get a great agency that comes in, does the best market research ever, right? Comes up with,
Mm-hmm.
this is going to be our brand statement. This is going to be our campaign. This is the product. This is what we know. This is the message we want to deliver. Here's how
Mm-hmm.
we want to deliver it. We want to do all of these things. And then when we get down and Christie sees the creative come across her desk, she's going to be looking at it. She's going to be really running through that filter of, is this going to move somebody to the next step in whatever your process
Yes.
is? If it's
Mm-hmm.
designed to, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But
Mm-hmm.
as an advertiser, it's something to really consider, and sort of the litmus test of, are my dollars being invested in a way that's in
Mm-hmm.
alignment with my company goals here. Um, I'm looking at my notes here off to the side here, and I think that it's a really good time for a transition. You shared a super cool story with me about a household brand we all know and can talk about, that goes back to your lineage in all of this. Tell us the story about everybody's favorite grape jelly, right?
Well, so my grandmother, um, she she graduated from college when she was 16 years old. Okay, she moves to New York
Hang
City.
on, hang on, hang on. Let's take a
Yeah,
second to pause on that.
I know,
Your
right?
grandmother graduated from college when she was 16 years old, which
Yeah.
was circa
Oh my gosh, I have no idea.
40s?
I would say probably, yeah, I would say 30s, because by the time World War II hit, okay, so she was almost like Mad Men. So she was a copywriter in the Empire State Building, and actually, you know what? Um, if I'm not mistaken, there was a plane that hit the Empire State Building in the 30s, and she was there. So,
Wow.
or she like, it was some crazy story about that. So I think, yeah. So I definitely know she was there. So she comes up with this advertising slogan that is, with a name like Kohl's, it has to be good. I think that I'm remembering that correctly. Then Smucker's buys it out. And so every time I hear it, I'm like, oh, because I didn't know her. She passed away maybe a month after I was born. So
That's
so
pretty.
I thought I mean, I feel kind of a little bit more maybe connected. Maybe connected.
I think that's a pretty cool thing, and hopefully you get to do a Smuckers campaign one of these days, because that'd be pretty fun to tie together. How
Yeah.
awesome is that? And it's just sort of like the thing that, something, like a thought that I shared yesterday on LinkedIn that we shared a little bit about, with just creating something. Like, once in
Mhm.
this life, create something, because what a beautiful story. Like, here you are now as a grown woman and in the out-of-home space and in advertising,
Hmm.
and really your grandmother was a trailblazer doing this when there weren't a lot of women in
Mhm.
advertising, let alone a lot of women coming up with a household brand tagline, uh,
Mhm. Yes.
decades before her time.
Hmm.
And if she hadn't done that, you wouldn't have that to tie together. Like, I think that's really special
Yeah.
to have. It's pretty cool.
Thank you. I mean, this is really, it's just fun. It really is fun. And there is some drudgery because, you deal with people and you deal with real life situations and
Sure.
cranky personalities. Okay. But this, at the end of the day, it really is about the creative. And I am thankful for my team because we really do help bring that to life. We very much bring that to life. Um,
Yeah. No, it's cool. You bring that creative vision right from here to the paper, and you bring it to life. And it's as tall as the Empire State Building is. It's a wallscape that a little kid walks up to and is just so bewildered and amazed that you could
yes.
do anything that big, and it matters. It makes a difference. It's
Hmm.
fun. I have a 6-year-old, and the first time I realized he was consuming advertising, he was about 4, and I had a Mountain Dew in the cup holder, and he goes, "That's got the race car." And I was like, "What are you talking about? That's got the race car." He goes, "The race car commercial. That's the race car commercial." My 4-year-old son had made the association from the Mountain Dew commercial that he saw on TV with the race car to the bottle of
Yes.
soda in my cup holder. It matters.
Wow.
You don't think that the creative matters, let that be the story. I'll give you the follow-up to that. A few weeks later, we were at the movies, and one of the Real People Chevrolet commercials was playing. And he, at the time, I was at an automotive ad agency, and he said, "Daddy, that's a car commercial. That's a car commercial." I said, "Yeah, how do you know that?" Well, obviously there's cars in it. Um, but he said, "This is real people. This is real people." He didn't know it was for
Wow.
Chevy, but he knew it was a real people campaign. It was the real people campaign. And
Yeah.
the creative matters, and the
Mhm.
commitment to a message. I mean, how important is that? Like, ba da ba ba ba. It was nothing the
Exactly.
first time. It was
Exactly.
nothing the first time. McDonald's made the commitment. Nike made the commitment to the swoosh.
Mhm.
Smuckers made the commitment to, well, if it's
Mhm.
that right? What is it?
Yeah.
Give us the line again.
With a name like
With
Smuckers,
a
it has
name
to be
like
good.
Smuckers, it's got to be good.
Yeah.
Right, but it was the commitment to those things. So
Mhm.
don't be too trigger happy. Don't We're in this so close, especially from the client side. You're seeing it every day. You're excited to see it go up. You're so excited, and then it feels like, all right, it's time to change it. You know what? If it's still
Mhm.
selling, don't change it. That's an old Ogilvy thing, right? Is if it's still
But
selling you stuff, then why would you change it?
I think it goes back to what you're saying. You mentioned the the kind of call to action. And that may be a way that traditional and more modern modalities marry. That may be a way that they kind of have like this 1-2 punch
Hmm.
dance. So, maybe one is the static, you have one part of your campaign, and then you follow it up with a call to action with a digital component.
I
Or
love that idea.
yeah, I mean, I really do think that I'm seeing that as a definite trend as well. And it needs to be. I really do think that it needs to be.
Right, because there's sort of been this hard pivot that's taken place where it's like, hey, digital, because it's easy. We can buy it programmatically. I'm
Mhm.
just, for my own testing purposes, I'm running a campaign with Blip, right? And just to see
Mhm.
what's the process like. I got to be honest, it was so freaking easy that I can
Awesome.
understand why it's so attractive, especially for a big brand. especially for a big age. It's easy to execute. It's pretty easy to measure. We can do a lot of different things. We can do the fun dynamic stuff, but static still carries the campaign. And the way that you just described the two working together, I think is pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about the competition for attention, right? Do you
Mm-hmm.
think that because so much focus is on digital, what do you think about the opportunity in the static realm right now, right? There's not as many people competing advertisers for static, right? It's not the new
Mm-hmm.
fancy thing. Do you think that there's an opportunity for an advertiser to double down on static and potentially win out? Is that an opportunity that you think exists in the market right now?
Well, I am a little biased. Okay. I am passionate about print.
Full disclosure.
I see, I mean, I really do. I think it depends on the execution, and it depends on the creative. You know, there's a right way. There's a time and place for digital. There's a time and place for traditional, or static, or it just depends. I would say, let's look at the creative. Let's look at the goals of the client. The goals of the client are paramount. They're going to tell you which type of advertising, which type of mode you should use, honestly.
What are the three things? Let's say there's an advertiser listening who traditionally works with an agency, and the advertiser is that 1 or 2 degrees of separation from the printer. What should an advertiser who's spending money in out of home, what should they be asking their agency? What should they be asking their out of home company? What should they be asking to make sure that the printer that's on the other end, that's receiving their creative and bringing it to life, what things should they be asking or qualifying? What would be some helpful takeaways for somebody listening right now to make sure that the printer on the other end is somebody like a Paragon?
Yeah. I mean, so I hate the word vendor. I hate it. I think vendor kind of denotes this subservient or supplier, or like, you know, a telemarketer. Okay. We actually have so much more value, and we have so much value to bring that I think is often underutilized. And what I mean by that is, a printer has the ability, a good printer, a good print partnership, a true partnership, has the ability to be so much more of a consultant than I think than people realize. So we actually touch the material. We manipulate the material. We actually work with manufacturers who are telling us about all kinds of new materials. So I would advocate that if you're going to be a stellar buyer, if you're going to be, you know, at the top of your game, you would work with a printer who maybe knows both, who knows digital, but who knows what to use when, and to be able to offer some suggestions of real life experience, because they've manipulated that material. You may be buying something at a brand name that you really can get by with a generic. And then there are some things, if you go with the generic, you're going to be peeling off PSB from your TriVision for 3 weeks. I mean, that legitimately is the case. So to utilize a true partnership, that's what I would advocate. So that, I mean, I really wish that everybody knew we, many of the printers that I've talked to, and definitely our company, we love to help. You have a problem, we want to solve it. We actually like
DJ
it.
Revolves it. I'm sorry.
That's actually I went there too.
I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page for all the ice fans. So right, there's a ton of value that the printer can add. Do you think that the printer should be involved with an agency's creative team? Should it be involved with the client level at a planning process? Hey, here's sort of what we're thinking. here's different ways we could execute it as a printer? Like, is it really creating more of a collaborative environment, it sounds like?
That is, I will preach that and advocate that. I mean, I can't see a way that backfires and that's not beneficial. If we use the numbers, okay, from OAAA, which I love Anna, by the way. I think I kind of have a little girl crush on her.
Gotta get Anna on here next.
I'm sorry?
I gotta get Anna on here.
Oh my gosh. If you do, I mean, I'm gonna push like a lot, okay? I'm just gonna push like a lot.
Say no more.
But so of all of the, you know, if you compare how many digital, how many static, how many things have to be printed, okay, I just want you to get the gravity of this. Excuse me. 164,370 statics as of January 2020.
What is that? Across the country?
I'm sorry.
What you guys have done? What
well, for OAAA, these are like the numbers of the formats that are happening. So
okay.
So compared to, so you have 164,370, known statics in the US right now compared to 9,000, a little over 9,000 digital. So you can see just in that it's top heavy towards print. That has to be printed. Posters, 147,000. Junior posters, over 20,000. Wall murals, over 2,000. Bus shelters, almost 65,000. 65,000 as compared to digital street furniture, which is less than 6,000. Okay, so still,
I was counting along. It's like almost 4,000 static structures across the country to like 1,500 digital. Am I close?
Hold on. Say that one more time.
Like there's like 380,000 static structures to like 15,000 digital. But if you're playing along at home, you probably got the math by now. Christie's giving me the nod. I think just go with the Tim. It sounds right. So so there is. It's incredibly biased.
Like okay.
Right. So let's just say let's pretend that we've got 9,000 digital billboards. Right. They've each got 8 flips. So we'll give it 72,000. We've got room for 72,000 advertisers versus almost 380,000. If we looked at it on a 1-to-1 basis, right? One advertiser, one location.
Yes.
So eventually there's going to become, so this is, I don't even think I have it hang up. My degree's in finance because that makes any sense for any of this. But I'll give you the supply and demand conversation here because as an advertiser, it's something you need to be aware of. Supply and demand, right? If there is more demand than there is supply, then you are going to pay a lot more for, again, a very isolated piece of the attention. You can own the static inventory for pennies on the dollar in a place where you're not competing with another advertiser. Now, you need to know that I'm a huge advocate for both, as I know that Christie is as well. But there's such a great opportunity in static structures to own attention for such a fraction of the money. When I look at like a static campaign, we almost got Yankee on camera. Okay, you're going away. When I look at like a CPM basis of let's just say like a 50 showing, and I'm at like a $2 to $3 CPM. When I know just to play on digital, I'm somewhere between $5 and $7. Mm-hmm. And that's right now. That's in the current climate. And wait until a few things happen. People wake up, and to steal this from our man James Saller, out of home is the most underpriced medium in the world right now. Eventually, that market will correct itself, and it will get to a place of efficiency, and the market will be efficient. And you will not be able to buy in at the level you can today. So one, buy in at the level you can today. Two, also be aware of static and how to use a great printing partner like Paragon, like Christie. Be aware of how to use them as as part of your creative process. I mean, just from this conversation, I can tell you that this is something I'm going to explore for me personally, the accounts that I manage, my clients. We have a great creative team who's got a really good relationship with the printer, and they're always checking on new materials and what's coming. And they give us this sort of download on a one-by-one basis as we're going through a project. But it would be great to have conversations like this with the printer on a weekly, bi-weekly, even just if it was a monthly basis, to know, hey, what's coming out? What can we do?
Yes.
What's different? What have we done before that we could spruce up and add a different material, or do something like a 3D soft sign and bring that same creative that the market already knows and loves and blow it up. And then you have some fun on digital and do a really cool campaign. So there's a great opportunity for you as an advertiser. Again, theme of the show, efficient and effective. What Christie just pointed out, the huge disparity from static inventory to digital means that you have an opportunity that's really, really unique in the marketplace.
Yeah.
And
well said, man. Well
said. Thanks. So you had used one of the dirty words. You used vendor before, and we've talked about the vendor and how to really go beyond that and create a relationship that adds value that you're already paying for. You might as well get the value of professional feedback. What are some other things that you think the industry gets wrong in terms of in the way that we like to assign buzzwords to stuff? What do you think we can do a little bit better at?
So in this, it may just be me. It may just be me. But I tend to, the word traditional, it can kind of signify this stability and longevity and substance. But then if we're not careful, traditional can also have a connotation of being stale. And I really am, I don't want you to hear from me that I don't love digital too. I think digital is absolutely, I mean, the way of the future, and it's flashy and it's sexy and it really is needed. However, don't hate on the traditional. Don't call it traditional. Like I did a search just in the two main blogs that the websites that I follow. And I mean, I love these. They're really fantastic. But just to kind of give you an idea, okay. For one, and I'm sure that this is a well-known website. For digital, there were 2,214 posts. Okay, 2,214 articles. For static traditional, because it's just kind of the way that it goes, right? You want the flashy, you want the sexy, you want all of that. For static or traditional, 594. So already, we
4.5 to 1.
Labor the point, but I just want to advocate maybe for a shift in our thinking if that has creeped in. If we are thinking about traditional as being less than, I think it's time to elevate. I think it's time to realize that, the Taj Mahal is still around. The Colosseum is still around because it's made of good stuff. And I think traditional is made of good stuff. It's just made of good stuff.
And I can tell you on the results side, I see it. We have an advertiser who all they did was change their creative. They've been running the same creative for a couple years now, and I personally love it. It was the first piece of creative that I recognized in the market long before I even got into the out-of-home space. So when they became my client, it was really, really cool to come full circle on, like, oh my gosh, this was like the first piece of outdoor creative I could actually remember seeing. So we're going through a little bit of a rebrand, some different colors, a new font and things like that. And all we did was just measure year over year Google Analytics organic search, right? What does out-of-home drive? It drives organic search, people looking for you. Some cases, it'll drive people right back to your website if you tell them that's where you want them to go. But if it's a branding play, or we're talking about this, we look at Google Analytics for organic lift. And we looked at the same time period last year versus this year. One could argue that last year that, maybe the economy was a little bit stronger than it is now. I've got a whole episode on election year economies, which, by the way, secret, tremendous advertising opportunity. Spending's up in election years. He's always up in election years. But the point is, all we did was we changed a little bit of the branding, if you will. Mm-hmm. And we saw a 20% lift in organic traffic. Please tell me out of home doesn't work. What business wouldn't want 20% more people going to their website, finding out more about them, calling them, scheduling appointments, spending money with them for, guess what? This advertiser is spending the exact same money they were last year. But because the campaign was so well executed by the agency, by our creative team, they're benefiting from a 20% higher return on investment.
Oh my gosh.
That's significant. Yeah. Who wouldn't want 20% more? You're already making money. Now you're getting 20% more for the same dollar spent. And that's the opportunity that outdoor offers.
Yeah. If I'm getting 20% more or 20% more of a chocolate bar, like Tim, I'm going to get it. Yeah.
You're not mad at me. You're not mad at me if I gave you the king size versus the regular size for the same dollar. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome. So traditional, we got to I agree. I think we do. We have to find a better way to almost rebrand traditional, like traditional, I don't know, whatever. You come up with it and I'll back it. But yeah, it does. It sort of carries this negative connotation, like, oh, it's traditional. That must mean it's old and doesn't work as good as the new thing. And to hear that there's, on that particular website, 4-to-1, it sounded like almost 4.5 to 1, the amount that people are talking about digital versus we just heard that statistic, right? 385 versus we're going to say 72-ish thousand flips, where that's a 4-to-1. So you got 4-to-1 static inventory to digital, but digital is being talked about at a rate of 4-to-1.
Yes.
What an incredible opportunity. Back to the undervalued standpoint, everybody's talking about the thing that there's limited supply on, thus creating the demand, and yet we still continue to have. So as an advertiser, for you, listen, I just want to see great creative up in the market and have clients that really love us and think we're doing a great job. But what a great opportunity for you as an advertiser to negotiate a better deal for yourself, knowing that so much of the attention is on digital, knowing that there may not be as much attention on static. It's a great opportunity for you as an advertiser to see what opportunities are out there. What's my competition doing? Could I do the opposite of them and beat them up because I know it's twice as effective for half the money? Could you? I don't know. Maybe you could. It's a conversation that you should be having with whoever you're working with in any of your advertising. You've got a bonus dirty word. Am I correct? There was another one. I think it was myopic.
Yes, myopic.
Myopic.
That I think is a dirty word, and I think we touched on it. You can give a blow to somebody with a punch, but isn't it so much better when you follow it up with a hook or an elbow, right? It is so much more effective, as we said, to get out of our comfort zone and to use multiple modalities. If you haven't used both simultaneously, if you haven't tried, if you haven't tried to use digital and traditional, if you are so focused on just doing the new, best, flashy digital thing and haven't, like you said, done something different, I really do think that makes it stale. It's not traditional that makes things stale. It is just the getting stuck in a rut and doing the same thing and being narrow-minded, or narrow-focused, I guess is the better word.
It's traditional thinking that makes it
Exactly.
That's
exactly
it. That's been a theme, right? Traditional thinking, disrupt the thought process. There's so many people. The fun part about what Christie's described here today is that your imagination is a reality when you have a partner like Paragon, like Christie, that can bring your vision to life. You have that access, and what better medium than out of home where people can look up to it, they can touch it, they can feel it. It's real. Chet Holmes, author of The Ultimate Sales Machine and a guy way before his time, he said, if you can see it, it's real. And the fact that ads on our phone are a $10 cost per thousand, or pre-rolls a $30 cost per thousand. That's crazy.
Yeah.
0 cents.
Yes.
How you could be on a billboard 14 foot tall, 48 foot wide for a $5 cost per thousand. Use a partner like GeoPath to plan your buy, to target your target demographic, so that you're not just placed in any old location. You're placed in a place that's reaching the audience that matters to you. You could be 14 foot tall, 48 foot wide for $5 cost per thousand, or you could be on someone's phone getting ready to get X'd out as soon as they get past that 5, 10, 15-second mark for $30. You can't not drive past the billboard unless you have a flying car, and then still you'd have to fly over it, so you'd probably see it on like an approach or something. But you can't avoid a billboard. You cannot avoid a billboard. I can X out it. I can scroll past your display ad. I can X out of your pre-roll ad. I can scroll past your Facebook ad. All of those things are very real threats as more people are using ad blockers. Half of millennials, I guess lecture, you get a kick out of this and tie it back into creative. I guess last year at a digital analytics course. These are college students paying money to go to school to learn digital analytics. And the first question I asked, being the out-of-home guy, I said, how many of you guys use ad blockers? These are digital advertising students. You want to guess on a percentage basis how many raise their hands?
No, I would be scared. I know that this is going to be painful to hear.
It's really, and it's going to be painful for any advertiser listening who's spending money trying to reach millennials online. 50%, over half of the hands went up in the classroom. These are digital advertising students who are paying, or their parents are paying, $30,000 to $40,000 a year to learn digital marketing, and they are openly telling me they're blocking your ads. And they have all the money you want to get access to. And they have the highest retention rates of static inventory, static posters. Posters have the highest ad recall rate for millennials, 25 to 34. Not digital billboards, not digital ads online, not Facebook, not Instagram, not Snapchat, not what the smartest digital marketers want to tell you because it's what they sell. Listen, most of the people hearing this are in a market that I cannot help. I couldn't sell you a billboard there if I wanted to. I've got no incentive in this other than to just bring you information. That's why Christie's here as well, is to cut through the clutter, to cut through the noise of a lot of what's out there. So if half of them are using ad blockers, and we know that out-of-home reaches them so well, what brands do you see that are trying to reach that millennial crowd? Or if you can't say the brands, but what sort of campaigns are you seeing that are effective at reaching that really valuable, hard to reach audience? Are you seeing cool creative come through that's really targeted, or brands that are just aligned with that generation in their brand? What are you seeing? Are you seeing brands even maybe make a shift?
You know, that's a really good question. That's a really good question. I mean, my knee-jerk reaction is absolutely yes.
Sure.
But I'm trying to think of a really good example where that's the case.
Right. And one that comes to mind, and it's funny because they come to mind because they do digital outdoor so well, is Voodoo Ranger Brewing. I don't know if you've seen creative. It's so good. It's phenomenal. And they do a great job with digital out of home. They're so on target with their creative. Their colors are strong. They use, a negative space really well. They stick to core, simple colors. That's a good. What are some things you see as ways to get it right, or ways that sort of miss the mark? Like what are the things you see that do good creative, and what do you see as the most common miss?
Ooh. I mean, simple and vibrant. It always wins out. It is I think, what was that commercial a long time ago? All of these people in red are walking one way, and you have one person in white that's walking the other way. And that is, I mean, simplicity to me is the ultimate sophistication. It always has been to me. It always will be. I think that millennials are so bombarded with information, And the simplest is going to win out, and it's going to be easily retained as compared to something that is oversaturated with content. And then let them do the digging. Let them explore. That's how they're going to connect it.
You just said something there. Do you see? And I got to make good on my promise to tie the whole millennials using ad blockers back to creative. So we'll do that.
Oh my gosh.
Do you see? At least in my limited experience of seeing this, do you see from a local level people trying to run what is really like a print ad as a billboard? Do you see that where people, it's too many words? There's just too. You've got 8 seconds, right? Over it, yes. seven words or less. You've got that long to make an impact. Do you see people just using too many words, too many pictures, too many things going on? Do you see that happening?
Yes. Yes. And I mean, I do, kind of tying it back. I think that's where your print partner is kind of that sieve. Okay. So they're the last line of defense to saying, okay, well, this really isn't a practical, it's really cool. But just use it in a different way. Sure. So yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But the simplest is often the things that are the most memorable.
That's awesome. And thank you, because you teed me up for the segue back to how am I going to do this digital advertising ad blocker tie into the creative. So I asked this question, who uses an ad blocker? Half the hands go up. One of the hands that went up, I had interacted with this student previously in a different class. So I felt comfortable asking her the question. Mm-hmm. And I asked, has anyone here ever really paid attention to a billboard? Mm-hmm. Sort of expecting them that it's like for your dad or like something like that's boring. Like sort of expecting that to be the response, right back to the word traditional, expecting that to sort of be the response. And this one student who I sort of interacted with before, she piped right up and she goes, oh yeah, Good Guy Vapes down the street, they've got a billboard right there at the corner of so-and-so and so-and-so. And it's awesome because they have different color, and I went and drove it later to see it. It was simple. It was a lot of white space, a lot of negative space, bright colors, simple message, brand. So here is somebody unsolicited. I didn't pay her to say any of this. I use ad blockers, but I remember seeing outdoor for brands that are relevant to me. Here's what is so important is that individual, we continued to have the conversation, offline after the class. Turns out she's actually like a TikTok influencer. She's got hundreds of thousands of followers, and but she was like the quietest person in this class. So here's somebody that actively blocks your ads online.
Yes.
Notices outdoor and has the ability to influence over 250,000 people.
Wow.
If you could show me a better opportunity for an advertiser, I'd really like to see it, because I don't think it exists. You can buy the attention for $2 cost per thousand, $3 cost per thousand. You influence this person who has access to a huge audience that you would like access to, but maybe you can't because maybe you're local and maybe whatever. Maybe it's just a hard to reach audience, and that's how you tie them all together. Mm-hmm. So pretty cool. If it had been a digital billboard, I don't know if she would have recalled it, seeing it, that actively. She's used to driving past and seeing the same poster every day, and it's all making sense. Christie,
that's fantastic. I'm so glad you got to do that.
It was awesome. It was great. Another kid, he was sort of the slouched one, hanging out. And I said, hey man, would you pay attention to billboards? Like if it was something, and he goes, yeah, if it was something relevant. He finished my sentence for me. I immediately thought of our friends at Geopath, Kim Frank, Scott, AJ Choff. Shout out to everybody over at Geopath. He said if it was relevant, I would pay attention. Well, my girl just proved that she's paying attention. I said, well, what are you interested in? And we started to talk about some different things, and I'm immediately going through my head of all the different behavioral targets that I can use in Geopath, so that as a good partner, I could make that recommendation of, hey, you're this and you're trying to reach this type of person. Here's the best way to do that. Because I know that if you show something relevant to that individual, they will act on it because the guy told me so, and the other one told me so, and the whole room told me that they're not paying attention to you online. So it was pretty cool.
Awesome. Way to go.
Tying that all back. Christy, this has been a lot of fun. We should do it again sometime.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This was cool.
Thanks so much for having me on. I'm sorry?
I said we'll have to do it live and in person, and we'll roll out big, cool creatives, and maybe at some.
I've already planned it. Yeah.
Awesome. It's going to be fun. Well, cool. Is there anything else? Is there anything that I maybe ran too far past or too quickly by that you wanted to spend more time on? I want to make sure that you've got the opportunity to talk about everything you want to talk about.
No, I'm just blown away. I really appreciate your enthusiasm, your commitment to excellence. Like it's not everywhere. It's not everybody has it. And when you find somebody that does, when you really do get to connect with somebody that has your passion, it's motivating. It really charges me, and it makes me want to do a better job. And so I just wanted to say thank you. There's no, you're not paying me at all to do that, but I really appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much, because it's 8:00 on a Wednesday night. Christy's spent over an hour and a half with me here this evening and a ton of time getting prepared for the show. So special thank you to Christy, everybody at Paragon Printing for making it possible, everybody that's been an influence in both of our professional careers.
Yeah.
If you've gotten value from this, I ask that you share it with somebody else that could benefit. This is the Out of Home Insider Show. We're bringing you tips, tricks, and insider insights on all things outdoor advertising. I'm Tim Rowe. It's Christy from Paragon Printing. We'll see you soon.
Woohoo!